What's up, guys? My name is Marcos Garcia. Today we have a special guest on Conversations with One Percenters. He's the founder of Virtual Wholesaling Made Simple, an online community and coaching program showing wholesalers how to make $20,000 in just 90 days, even if they have no team, no experience, and even if you have a full-time job. He believes the best deals are not in your backyard and the next deal is just a phone call away. With over 10 years in business, 600 deals under his belt, Chris is passionate about showing others how to break free from the rat race, which I call the matrix, and create the financial freedom they truly desire. So, guys, welcome Chris Logan. How's it going, man?
Awesome, Marcos. Thanks for that introduction. I appreciate it. It's amazing. And I'm really looking forward to connecting with you and your audience today and just dropping some knowledge.
Yes, sir. Same here. I'm looking forward to it. So we have a ritual we do starting with every podcast where you get to ask the first question for our next guest.
Sure.
So if you think of a question real quick, let me know it, and that will be the first question I ask on my next podcast.
Awesome. Yeah. So a first question that I would probably ask for your next guest is going to be around mindset. I know this is a coach's podcast, right? And we're always looking for ways to get our coaching clients results, faster than we did, faster we did the previous one, right? So a question that I would probably ask is, what's your number one mindset tip to help people get over roadblocks and get the results they're supposed to get faster?
Fantastic question. I love mindset, and I believe, like Muhammad Ali said, it's all about the mindset, getting to the next level. So we do have our first question from you from our last guest.
Yep.
What is your favorite, not what's your favorite book, what book has changed your life the most and why?
Let me see if hang on one second. I got it right here. This book right here, The One Thing by Gary Keller. He's the owner of the largest real estate brokerage in the country, or one of the largest, called Keller Williams. A lot of people have heard of him. And this book is all about focus. What I've seen is that a lot of entrepreneurs, when they're first getting started, and even people that are seasoned doing this game for a long time, they struggle with focus and spreading their focus too thin, jumping on every shiny object instead of focusing on what works and doubling down there. And so what I found after they read that book, it realigns their focus so they can have clear steps as far as what to do next every single day. There's even a clarifying question in there that you can ask yourself every single day that'll help keep you more focused. And that question is, what's the one thing that I can do today that makes everything else either unnecessary or irrelevant, right? Something like that. But what the point of that question is to ask yourself, the point of what you're doing, is it actually going to move you closer to your goal? See, a lot of people, they set goals for themselves and they go year after year wondering why they didn't hit it. And they're like, I'll try harder next year. But what if it isn't about trying harder? What if it's about getting clarity and taking confident steps every single day that are on the path towards exactly where you want to go? What if it's about that instead of working harder? It's not always about working harder. It's about working smarter.
And I can resonate with that a lot, because I am the biggest proponent to shiny object syndrome.
We are, man. It's entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So the thing I've been trying to do recently was cut back on social media, like the TikTok scrolling, because it can literally pull you away from everything. So no, very interesting. Did you struggle with lack of focus? Is that why you read the book, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, everybody reads books for a specific reason. And, I have that, visionary entrepreneur personality and mindset where I'm thinking big picture all the time. And sometimes you see all these different shiny objects on a path. You're like, that could get me there. That could get me there. That could get me there. Or a big thing for entrepreneurs, it was a big thing for me, was starting multiple businesses at the same time. And you use these excuses like, oh, Elon Musk, he has like 5 businesses. Well, guess what? Elon Musk didn't start all 5 at the same time. And that's what people don't stop and realize, right? So people think, oh, multiple streams of income, that gets hammered by coaches out there, right? But people, it's the right thought process, but the wrong implementation. So that's what I really struggle with. I struggle with doing a lot of different ways to make money. But the moment that my business exploded and I was truly able to get the results that I wanted was when I was able to clear all the clutter away and focus on one thing. There's also another great book on that by Mike McAllowitz called The Pumpkin Plan.
Okay.
Very similar thing to the one thing, but it talks about instead of having all these like, small average pumpkins, why not have one big, amazing, award-winning pumpkin, right?
No, that's interesting because, like in your introduction, you help people with full-time jobs, which can distract them. I feel like if you're working a full-time job and you're trying to build something, you can get distracted very easily. So, no, it's cool. And looking forward to diving into that here later on in the podcast.
Nice.
So, tell us, who is Chris Logan?
Sure. Yeah. So, I've been in real estate for past like 10 years. I've done over 600 deals. And the strategy that I use to make money in real estate is called virtual wholesaling. Okay. Now, some people, have heard of wholesaling in real estate. Maybe they haven't heard of virtual wholesaling, or maybe they haven't heard of wholesaling at all, right? But wholesaling, in a nutshell, is a way to find and flip properties without using any of your own money, no bank financing or anything like that, right? And you can flip them for tens of thousands of dollars, and you can do it without having any contractor experience, no real estate experience, anything like that. And you can do it all without buying the property. So we show people how to do that really quick and basically create an income to replace their full-time jobs. So it's the strategy that I use to get started in real estate. And basically it works like this. Let's say you have a seller that is wanting to sell their property. Maybe the property needs a ton of work, right? It's just a lot of repairs are stacking up because they haven't had time to do it. Maybe their health is in the best shape and they really want to get that property sold. So they come to me and they say, hey, I'd like to sell my property to you for $60,000. And let's say I know that I have an investor in this area, a cash buyer, someone who's going to buy this property from me for cash for $80,000, right? So I say yes to her $60,000 because I know I'll be able to flip it for $80,000. And then from there, I put a piece of paper in place with the seller to agree to the terms we agreed on. I put a piece of paper in place with the buyer. And then on the day of closing, I walk away with $20,000. So you can think about it as a highly paid real estate matchmaker is the best way to describe what I do. And I teach people how to do this multiple times a month from anywhere in the country.
Interesting. And I'm going to have a lot of newbie questions. So I hope you're cool with that.
Sure. Go for it.
Can anyone get started with this? Like you said, no money getting started. The biggest thing that I would have, that I would be thinking about is say I have $2,000 in the bank. I'm like, okay, my mindset, you said mindset. I'm going to say, I can't do this. I can't do this. I only have $2,000.
No, so that's the great part about this is that you actually don't really, you could get a deal under contract with a seller for as little as like $100. Some people even done it for $10 and you could, but I just prefer $100, right? So it takes literally $100 to complete a transaction and that's it. And all you need is just some hustle and grit to be able to pick up the phone, talk to a lot of people, be willing to hear no a lot, right? Because you know that you're getting closer to that yes, which is getting that deal. And when you do, it creates that life-changing income, that first deal. It gets you all jazzed up, excited, because now you've proved to yourself that it works. And then you're willing to go out there and do it again and again and again. I found the first deal is your hardest deal to get. But after that first deal, right, it's almost like the second deal comes right behind it. So what I show clients how to do is I show them how to overcome like the mental barriers that are on this path of getting that first deal, how to condense that time frame so they can get one as quickly as possible and get to where they want to go, right? So I've done this myself. I've done it a ton of times, and I'm really passionate about showing newbies, people who are just getting started on how to do their first deal and create a future in real estate.
Love it, man. So how was it for you getting started in this? Like, can you take us back to that starting point where you were like, yo, I'm in this, and run us back.
Sure. So when I first got started, man, it was so funny. I got started through one of those big seminar companies because I thought I was going to meet Robert Kiyosaki. I just read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And so I signed up for one of the 3-day events. I was like, man, I'm going to go there, shake his hand, tell him how much I love the book. And shocking, like he wasn't there, right? It was his team or company that he hired to go there, right? But after that 3-day seminar, it really piqued my interest, and I got enough out of it to say, I want to know the next steps. I want to take the next step. So when I was there, towards the end of the presentation, they put all the different ways you could make money in real estate on the board. They showed renovating houses like the guys on HGTV, right? They showed new development like building houses from scratch, right? They showed buying rentals, things like that. But the one strategy really stuck with me, and that was wholesaling houses. So when they showed me that you could take a piece of paper and flip it for tens of thousands of dollars, and you could do this over and over again each month, I was like, I looked at my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, this makes sense. So we signed up for a 3-day class in Miami to learn how to do it. We did it, and I would love to say that, I got my first deal right away the moment I left the class, and everything was all sunshine and rainbows. But it actually took us 6 months to do our first deal.
Can I interrupt and ask a question?
Sure, go for it.
During that time, were you working a job, and like, how was your mindset? I'm very curious of those.
Yeah, so I was working a full-time job. I was, being a road warrior for this this marketing company where we would sell marketing to small to medium-sized businesses. So like PPC, SEO, all that stuff, right? Print ads. And basically what I was doing is I was working 60 to 70 hours a week. I was driving to a hotel every single night, and then coming back once a week to do marketing for the real estate business, and then going back to my territory in the morning. I mean, it was really a grind, 60, 70 hours a week. But the biggest thing for me, and the reason I feel that we ended up doing our first deal, is because I knew what I wanted, and I kept reminding myself why I got into it in the first place. See, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they hit some obstacles and roadblocks, right? And it discourages them so much where they want to just stop. But then in that moment when they're about to quit, if they can just think back to why they started, the life change they wanted to have, how they wanted to spend more time with their friends, more time with their family. They wanted to go on more vacations. They wanted to live a life by design and not be told, when they can come in, when they can go to the bathroom. Yes, I've even heard that from some people that I've talked to. When, they can come in, when they can go home, days they can have off. If they're sick, do they need to come into work? Do they not come into work? Like, it's just crazy to think about all that, right? And, I remembered that future where I didn't want any of that stuff. I wanted to be my own boss. So I was willing to overcome temporary setbacks and roadblocks for a permanent lifestyle that I wanted to have down the road.
Damn. No, I can, when you said go to the restroom and stuff like that, for us, it's like they're trying to tell us when we can eat food.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm still working a job, and that's like, they're like, you can't bring food into the job to eat. So it's like they're telling us when we can eat now too. So
I know. And that's the thing. Like, it's one of those things where I think, a job can be good, right? If you love what you do, a job can be good, and you can use the money that you make in that job to even have a faster kickstart in real estate, right? Maybe you invest in coaching, maybe you invest in tools, software, whatever, right? But the thing is you have to have a clear idea of where you want to go, right? You have to have a clear idea of what it is that you want to do, and be willing to fight tooth and nail for that every single day. That's the difference in people that reach where they want to go and the people that don't. But I remember what it was like hustling at my day job. I left my day job 8 years ago, and I haven't looked back since. And I can tell you, like, all that time I put in, it was totally worth it.
So as you're moving forward, as you're starting in real estate, did you get distracted?
Yes. Yeah. So when I first got started in real estate, I was doing several things, right? So I was doing these make money online businesses, right? There's a ton of that online, right? I was like, I'm just going to make a little money here, make a little money here. I'm going to do some affiliate marketing. I'm going to do some real estate, right? And that was when I wasn't really having success, right? And where I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted to see. And so it wasn't until I read that One Thing book, and I centered my focus and was like, okay, I'm going to focus on this one thing. I'm going to shut everything else off. I'm going to burn the ships, right? And just focus on this one opportunity. I don't care how long it takes me. I'm going to do a deal. That's when things really blew up for us.
I love all of it. So you mentioned planning. You said if you don't have the plan, you're not going to get to where you want to get to. How do you plan with so many, so many different ways? So many people have different ways of goal setting. Like, how do you plan to get to the next level?
Yeah, that's a great question. Great question. So in the beginning, when you're first getting started, one of the things that's really important is time blocking, setting aside time. So planning your week, right? So, my dad always used to tell me growing up that the true champion plans his day the night before, right? I think he heard that from somewhere, maybe Jim Rohn or maybe Ziegler, one of the sales guys, sales coaches, whatever. But But I feel like not enough people put time into planning what they're going to do the next day, right? People spend more time planning a vacation than they do what they're going to do the next day, right? And so I feel like if people plan their day the day before and they broke their day up into blocks of what they have to do, this is incredibly valuable for salespeople too, right? Pretty much anything. But if you are working a job of commission sales during the week, time blocking is a total game changer, right? But what I would do is I'd plan my week and say, okay, in the morning, when I wake up in the morning, I'm gonna have my breakfast. I'm gonna work out at the gym. Then after I do that, I'm going to post ads to attract buyers, right? Cash buyers that want to buy wholesale deals from me, right? Then what I'm going to do is on my lunch break, I'm going to have a sandwich. And then after I have that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the phone and call sellers and call back leads. Then I'm going to go back to work, and then I'm going to come home. I'm going to have some dinner, and then I'm going to spend 2 or 3 hours in the business calling sellers and trying to get deals under contract, right? And I ran that schedule for like the longest time until I got deals. And then from there, and then you start thinking bigger, right? So eventually you get to a point where you can start bringing people on into your business. And then you have to think bigger beyond what you're going to do the next day, what you're going to do the week. You have to start thinking in terms of, okay, what would I like to see this year? How much would I like to make this year, right? And then how can we chunk that down into quarters, right? So into 4 quarters, what I'd like to achieve each quarter. And then how can I break that down into actionable steps I can do each week and each day to get to that quarterly goal and goal I have at the end of the year.
Interesting.
So
do you find it easier to like when you're planning for goals, do you find it easier to plan in like money terms or in like, for instance, I want a Ferrari or I want a big mansion, $1 million mansion, like multi-million actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think for me, it's easier for me to plan in terms of as a business owner revenue, right? Okay. So what would I like to see happen, the end of this year, right? And goals can be fluid too. So let's say you set a goal at the beginning of the year, you think huge, right? You're like, I'm gonna set a goal for the, hitting the moon, right? And then you hit the clouds, right? That's okay, right? But you want to make sure that you're setting goals that are smart. So they're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, they're realistic, and they're timely. So if you can set goals that are smart goals like that, you're going to find that you'll hit them more often. You're going to get less discouraged, and you're going to actually do more of what you want to do. See, a lot of people, myself included, I like to set really big goals, right? And so when I first started, I would set these crazy unrealistic goals and I'd never hit them. And I'd always feel like less than because I wouldn't hit these goals. But then I took on a business coach and he was like, listen, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just the fact that you're setting goals that you're not even close to right now, right? So you haven't even come close to this in the past year. And so you need to set something a little bit more realistic so you can hit those goals, get that confidence up, and then boost it by like 25% the next year and then so on, right? And then if you blast past it, fantastic. But the key is smart goals. That really changed the game for me when it comes to goal setting too, is setting smart goals.
Interesting. With goals. So I'm recently getting into the mindset thing. So I know that mindset's important, but I didn't realize how important it was. I watched a movie. I don't know if you've seen it, but Richard Williams the tennis player who raised.
That's a great movie.
Yeah,
Love that.
Great movie. And so you're watching him, and he's going through all these like setbacks and challenges, but he's giving his daughters the beliefs that like are going to make them champions one day.
100%.
Did you find your old mindset stopping you from achieving your goals? And like, if you did, how were you able to like become aware of it and change it?
Yeah. So I find that one of the biggest mindset blocks that people have when they first got started, and same with me when I first got started, right, was a fear of success. So that sounds weird.
Yeah,
right?
no, I want to know that, a fear of success, because I feel like I might have a fear of success, like subconsciously down in my brain. Like it's
a serious issue that once you figure out what it is, you can take steps to overcome it. So the first step is saying, okay, this is what I have. And then once you acknowledge that, you can take steps forward. But so a lot of people think something that holds entrepreneurs back is a fear of failure, right? But people don't actually, in my experience, fear failure as much as they do success. And I'll get to fear of success in a second. But fear of failure, the reason why that's not scary for people is because failure is known. It's a known end result, right? If you fail, you're just where you were. You're just where you were. Like you're no better off, no worse off. You're just back to square one where you are. So it keeps people comfortable, right? So that's why people don't fear that as much. But fearing success, what if things go right in business? What if I make an offer to this seller and she says yes, and I don't know what to say? What if, I talk to this buyer and he thinks I'm a joke and, I'm not a real investor or whatever, and, he doesn't want to buy deals from me? Or what if I run my numbers wrong on this property and someone rips the deal apart, right? On Facebook. I go to sell this deal in a Facebook group or post this deal in a Facebook group to get buyers for it. And what if everyone hates on it, right? So the fear of success can actually be worse than fear of failure, because the fear of success is the unknown.
Interesting. And is that so, like, fear of success, meaning like if I'm successful, now I got to leave my job, stuff like that too?
That also could be a part of fear of success. So fear of success, okay, well, what if I hustle so much and I actually hit my goal and I make money, right? And I feel comfortable leaving, but what happens if that money doesn't continue after I leave?
That's a big one right there.
What if I have a bad month? I mean, this job is pretty comfortable. Like, I got income every month, but what if I have a bad month, right? What then? And so then that subconsciously, that holds you back from being able to reach any of the goals that you have set for yourself, because your mind almost self-sabotages you and keeps you in the same spot. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy type of thing.
It is. So how did you overcome that fear of success? Did you have that?
Yes. Yeah. So everybody, in my personal opinion, everybody has this when they're first getting started as an entrepreneur. And, people even have this when you grow, right? Because, there's a saying, another level, another devil, right? So
I recently heard that.
Yeah. So every level that you go up to, there's a new set of beliefs, a new belief system that you have to take on and believe for you to be able to get to that next point, right? So, but going back to the fear of success for me, it was like, okay, what if I fill out the contract wrong? What if I spend a lot of time, making offers to sellers and none of them get accepted, and I end up like burning leads? Like what if I was to leave my job? Things are going good now, but what happens if I leave my job and deals stop for whatever reason, right? Or things don't just continue to go as they've gone, right? So what if, right? All those what ifs are just fear of success, because they'll hold you back and keep you where you are. So what I had to do is I had to say, okay, the best way to figure out how things are going to go is how they've gone, right? And the only thing that I can do, I can't do anything about. All I can control is the activity. So this is big for entrepreneurs, right? Like, all I can focus on is the activity. I can't focus on the end result. All I can focus on is what I can do. I can't control if a seller says yes, that they'll sell me their property, or if a buyer says, no, I don't want to buy it. I can't control any of that. All I can control is if I ask and I do the daily activity to reach my goal. And that's why it's super important to break down your goals into the daily steps you need to take in order to get there. Because if you can just focus on, did I do a good day? Or did I do the activity today, right? And if I did the activity today, that's a good day. And if I didn't do the activity, that would be a bad day, right? Instead of tying it to a specific end result that you can't control, because that creates anxiety.
So do you believe beliefs equal your actions are going to equal your results, and your results will equal your feedbacks? And if so, what belief, like, do you think you set for yourself to move past that? You know what I mean? Because you had to, if you believe that, how do you create that new belief to move past the fear of success or failure?
Yeah, and that's a great question. Great question. So creating new belief systems, one of the things that you can think about and that helped me a lot, whenever I'd have like a what if, or whenever I'd have like a what if this happens or what if that happens, right? I would say to myself, it doesn't help to think that way. And all I need to focus on is what's the next step. So I don't need to think of the 1,000 steps in front of me. I just need to focus on what's the next step that I can take. That's it. And when you're just focusing on small bite-sized little steps, that fear goes away, because all you're focused on is something so small, right? Like all I can focus on to get, I can't worry about how many deals I'm going to get this month. I can't worry about how many that. All I can focus on is, did I pick up the phone every single day?
So just taking the action, and as long as you're taking action, like you should, like, so honestly, inaction will increase the fear.
It does. So what
Okay.
I've found is the longer time you spend, and I relate this back to cold calling, because this is one of the ways that I show my clients how to get results in real estate, right? So a lot of people have a fear of the phone. They sit there and they think, what if the seller says yes? What if they say no? What if they curse me out? What if, whatever the case is, right? So one of the things I tell them is I say, listen, you need to shorten the time between between knowing that you need to pick up the phone and picking up the phone and making your first call, right? Because the longer that you allow time to go by between knowing you need to make the call and actually making the call, is time for your mind to come up with all the different reasons why you shouldn't do it, all the bad things that could happen. And if you let it go too long, it could turn into this crazy monster of a snowball that gets so big and so overwhelming. You're like, you know what? Not going to do it today. Today's not the day. Tomorrow, though. Tomorrow is going to be the day, and that's the day that I'm going to crush it.
That sounds like, so back, like right when I was at high school and I was first going into the clubs, and you see like a beautiful girl and you're like, man, I want to go talk to her.
Oh, absolutely.
You wait, and you're like, the longer you wait, you're not going to go talk to her.
Yeah.
So
no, sure. Because you start thinking, well, what if she, what if she doesn't like me? What if she laughs at me?
Mm-hmm.
What if her friends laugh too? Or what if X, Y, and Z, you know what I mean? So you start thinking all those different things.
What if she has a boyfriend? What if she says that? Yeah. So I can see where you're that, like, with the longer you wait to do something, and even in action can increase fears and stuff like that. So no, powerful point. So, I had my next, sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but, what was I going to say? That was a good topic. I literally had my next, all right, give me 1 second. I just got to think.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
This will be cut out, just so you know.
I'd love to take credit for that last thing I told you, but I actually learned that from Grant Cardone. That was something that he said. He said that when you're sitting down about to make a call, you want to minimize the time between making the call and actually thinking about making the call and making the call, because the longer you sit there, the more it builds up in your mind. So, I mean, just a really great concept to think about. And like you said, it applies to everything in life, whether you're young and you're in the club or whatever, or, it applies to business. But that's the whole thing. And one of the things that I share with people how to overcome this, right, is to have what I call a launch sequence, right? So you sit there in your mind and you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you have to do the thing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to do it. And that tricks your mind, because your mind's like, okay, time's counting down. It's go time. And I'm like, I don't care if you mess up, you stumble over your words, the seller hangs up on you. It does not matter. You just got to pick up the phone when you hit 0, right? That's the biggest thing.
No, I love that. And I have a cool story, which was like, back in my YouTube days, I thought of a brilliant idea, which turned out to be not so brilliant, which was run across a football field. I had to use that same tactic. Like, I literally had to force my mind to just go, like, because fear was creeping up, and I wasn't going to do it. So, you like in your bio, you mentioned the rat race, which a lot of people nowadays, due to Andrew Tate, call the Matrix. Why is it important why do you think it's important to escape?
Sure. People say that entrepreneurship is risky and running a business is risky, but I disagree. I think the more risky move is sticking with the company 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, only to wake up one day, have that company call you and say they don't need your services anymore, right? They downsize, they cut off your position, and then you're stuck. You're thinking, shoot, what am I going to do, right? Maybe you have a family at that point. Maybe you don't. Maybe you have high expenses at that point. Maybe you don't, right? And at the end of the day, it caused a major shift in your lifestyle, and it caused you to really rethink things. So what I feel is the best thing for people to do, for entrepreneurs, people who are having a job, is to always have a second stream of income. So if you're working a job, okay, you got to have a second way to bring in income, because if you don't, that's the riskiest move that you could make. I believe it was Jim Rohn who said that, you want to have a side hustle while you're working your job, and you want to build up your income from your side hustle to be as much as you're making at your job. And then at that point, you want to decrease the hours in your job, put it more into your side hustle. And then from there, once your side hustle passes the income from your job, that's when you can leave your job. I took it a little bit more extreme. And I also feel, backing that, you also should have anywhere from 6 to 12 months of savings in the bank.
Okay.
Before you leave your job, covering your monthly expenses, right? Because going back to that fear of success we talked about before, it's like, what if I leave and things don't go that way? I didn't want to have that stress and extra stress and pressure while I was building my business, that financial pressure. So I said, I'm going to save up, 6 to 12 months. I ended up saving about 12 months. And then from there, I left my job. But that was when our real estate investing business was passing what I was making. I was making 6 figures in my corporate job. And so I was doing well there. But my real estate business went past that. And then I had the money saved up. But having those two incomes, money from my job that I saved, right, and money from my business, is what really helped skyrocket that and get me out quick.
So the rat race and people who want to escape, what if, like, because like at some point I didn't want to escape, you know what I mean? Like I think we're programmed from the beginning to work a job. And so
100%.
you don't think about wanting to escape, but when you finally do, you're like, man, like, okay, like it's going to be your boss or it's going to be someone you work with. It's either one of the two. There's always that one person you work with that you just like, has to cause problems, or your boss who tells you that, because I think my boss told me that the thing that really clicked with me that started me into entrepreneurship was I worked so hard. I'm talking about, like, this was back in my first job. I was a city worker. I worked so hard, and I put in hours and hours and hours of work, and I felt like I was dedicated and loyal and things like that. And then one day, like, we kind of got into an argument, and he was just like, I can replace you tomorrow. And I was like, I'm honestly glad he told me that, because like it really like kick-started me to be like, oh, like, no one's gonna ever tell me that again. Like, I will not have anyone tell me that again. So do you see that, like, those are the reasons why people want to escape the rat race?
Yeah, I find that the reason people want to leave their jobs, and not everybody does. Like I said, some people they love what they do. Like, I'll give you an example: teachers, right? There are some teachers who are like, I hate teaching, we're underpaid, and I want to do something else. I love kids, but I hate teaching because of the school systems. It's broken, blah, 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 right? And then there's other people that say, I love teaching. I don't care that I make 30 grand a year. I love teaching. That's my calling, but I would like to have some extra income coming in to where I could do some things, right? So there's two types of thinking there, right? And at the end of the day, neither one of them is wrong. It really just comes down to what's right for you and what's your life plan. See, when I first started, a lot of the gurus out there said, jobs are evil, you shouldn't have a job, just over broke, right? And they share all those things, and it makes you feel really bad about having a job, like you're doing something wrong. But the truth is there's nothing wrong with having a job if it fits in with your life plan and where you want to go, right? But the one thing that is wrong is not liking it, knowing that you don't want to be there, but refusing to take any steps towards another direction. People just stay planted in one place for so long. They want to change desperately, but the desire for change isn't greater than their need for comfort. And so they just stay where they're at, and they continue to complain every day. And that's what is wrong. And that's what's like a waste of life, in my opinion.
Okay. Before I get into the next question, I do have an interesting question, selfish question for myself. What's your belief on money? Like, how do you view money in the world? Like, what's that belief that pushes you to the next level? Because as we know, they're literally printing money every single day. Like, as we work hard for it, they're just printing away. So recently, I just been starting to think that money is abundant and everywhere. But I'm kind of curious to think how you think about money.
Sure. Really, I look at money as a tool, right? So I used to, when I was younger, right now I'm about to be 41 this year. When I was younger, I used to look at money as like the be all end all, right? Like, man, if I could just make enough money, X, Y, and Z, and this, that, and the other, right?
But leave my job, stuff like that.
Say again?
I can leave my job. If I make enough money, I can leave, and I can.
Right. Or I'll be, my favorite one for entrepreneurs is I'll be happy when, right? Like they wait to be happy until they have a certain dollar in their bank account or a dollar amount to make them feel like they're worth something, right? But what I've found is that, money magnifies what you already are, right? So if you are a giving, generous person, you're going to continue to be giving and generous when you
Mm.
have money. If you're a selfish and greedy person, then that's going to double when you have money. So having money is not really a good thing for some people, but money is a tool to be respected. A great book on this topic is The Richest Man in Babylon. Really, really, really great book. I believe that God blesses us with money, and He blesses us with it to see what we're going to do with it. And if we're smart with our money, then and we use it to bless others, then we're going to continue to get more of it. But the minute we try to squander it and do bad things, then that's when it can be taken away. So I view money as a tool. And as far as like the government and everything like that, I mean, I can't do anything to change any of that stuff, what they're doing to print money. So that's why it's never a better time to get into real estate, because you got to be putting your money to work for you. You got to be taking your money you get from your job and using it to create other money that you can use to really secure your long-term future. Because there's a lot of people who are, there's like 10,000 baby boomers every single day who are retiring, and eventually that Social Security is going to go away. So you can't really depend on the government to save you, the government to protect you. It doesn't matter to me what the government does with money. It really doesn't, because I can't control it. And so all I can do is I can control what I can do in my own little me economy, if that makes sense, right? Like,
No, you are yeah.
me, and that's it.
You are absolutely correct, and I'm going to say this because when you said money is a tool, and how you use it now will be how you use it in the future.
Mhm.
I currently believe if I would have been rich like 5 years ago, like in the past, I would probably be like worse off than I am now, because
100%.
I was
Mhm.
consuming loads of caffeine. I was eating like dog crap, like bad. I was
Yeah.
consuming tons of alcohol. I was going out partying,
Mhm.
and I firmly believe that I would have probably been even more worse off. I think not having money then humbled me to be
Yeah.
like, you need to like level the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so no, I believe that, like how you mentioned, like if you spend, like people think, oh, I can't give to charity because I don't have enough money, and when I start making millions of dollars, then I'll
Yeah.
give to charity. But
Yeah. No, you won't.
yeah, so no, that makes sense. I love that. I love that perspective on money.
Well, it's
So
like, I've had money, lost it, and got it back again, and I can tell you that nothing is more. I wouldn't trade my journey for anything, right?
mm,
Because the times some people, when they fall in a rough patch, they lose money, they're like, oh, why me? Why me? Like, but I'm always thinking about like, what can I learn from this? I learned a very valuable lesson. See, when I was a lot younger, I used to look at money as it would never run out. Just because I made it this month, I'd make it next month, and I would base all of my financial decisions based on the fact that it would never run out, and that
mm,
got me into a problem. And so, one of the best things that I could have ever learned is that at an early stage. So it didn't happen to me when I'm further along in my journey and I have a family and a new baby and all that stuff, right? So I'm glad I learned that lesson early on than having waited in my life. Very similar to what you were talking about. So
very, very, very interesting. So do you have a school group? A school group?
no. So what I have is I have a Facebook group
Okay.
called Virtual Wholesaling Made Simple, and in that group, it's a free group. People can come and learn about virtual wholesaling and learn how to get their first deal from home anywhere in the country.
But you have a community or a course that you teach this, correct?
Yes, I do, and that course is called Virtual Wholesaling Made Simple.
Okay.
So if anybody is looking to get started in wholesaling houses from home anywhere in the country, and you're looking to use real estate as your vehicle for financial freedom, you can go to virtualwholesalingmadesimple.com. Fill out the form. I don't accept everybody, so you want to be detailed in your responses. And if I like what you have to say, I'll consider inviting you on as a client.
Perfect. And in that group, and can you like share some of the topics that you're teaching in there?
Sure. Yeah. So what we teach in that group is we show people how to overcome the common mindset roadblocks that hold you back on your path to success and unlocking your potential. We talk about how to find motivated sellers, like how to find the worst house in the best neighborhood and get it for the best price, so you can flip it and make $10, $15, $20,000 without using any of your own money. So we show how to do that. We also show how to network and build relationships with cash buyers, these cash investors, people that got that money
Yep.
to be able to buy your deals from you so you can make money, and really just how to grow that and do multiple deals a month and
So
escape your 9 to 5.
yeah. So you mentioned mindset. So I'm gonna be the mindset of a buyer that's interested in your course. I don't have enough money for this.
Yeah. So don't have enough money for
To work with you. I don't have enough money to start this. I don't have enough money for real estate. Like I work a job, but I barely have like $1,000 in the bank. Like how can that
yeah.
help? I know we talked about earlier. So not only that, I don't have time either. Like I'm working on a full-time job. So I'm gonna give you some objections that you're probably getting.
Sure. So I typically find that people have one of two things. They either have time and no money. They have money and no, actually one of three things. They either have time and no money, money and no time, or they don't have both, right? So if you have time and you have no money, then what I recommend typically for people to do there is hustle to get their first deal themselves, right? So if they have less than $1,000 in their bank account, right, I'd recommend to hustle to get deals themselves, right, using the free info we provide in the group. And then once you get your first deal, reinvest that into coaching to make getting your next deal easier, right? So
Okay.
if you have money and no time, that's easy. So at that point, what we could do is we can show you how to put people in place for you to do a lot of the legwork while you're working your job and just get leads coming in automatically so you can call those when you get out of work and get deals under contract, right? If you have no time and no money, well, my friend, you got to make some changes in your life to be able to make that happen. Because I have people, no, seriously, I have people come to me and they're like, hey, Chris, I have no money, no time, but I really want to get started with your coaching, right? And I'm like, okay.
I'm
Well,
curious. How do you have no money and no time? I really don't see it. Like,
so I'll give you an example. This one guy that I spoke to a long time ago, he's, I want to say he's 55 years old. He works in manufacturing. And because of the type of work he does, he works from 10:30 in the morning all the way until 8:30 at night, right? 10:30 to 8:30. And he makes roughly around, I want to say he makes like $45,000 a year, but he also has some debt and things like that. So he really has no disposable income at all, right? So really tough spot. So what I told him there, I try to leave everybody better off than I find him, right? So what I told him is if you're in this position where you have no money and no time, then what I'd recommend doing is I'd recommend looking for a change, right? You want to look for a different job that allows you to have either a bit more freedom or a bit more money, right? So you can start pursuing the dream that you have of getting into real estate. Because if you have no money, no time, you don't make a change and nothing's going to change, you're going to get to the point of you're going to work till you die, right?
Yep.
So you got to make a change now and be aggressive about making that change. And then when you get an increase in income, start setting aside some money aside. Like I don't like taking people's last dollars, right? Like I want people to have some money in the bank because it's responsible, right? Like people have life events that come up, things happen, and they need to be able to take care of those things. So I find that once you have roughly 90 days of savings in the bank, so if you have 3 months of savings in the bank, at that point, that's when you should start investing in your education.
Okay. So at what point, like, let me see. I had a very good question. I hate that I just lost it. Like, just completely disappeared in thin air.
It's entrepreneur syndrome. It happens.
Yeah, like it literally just completely disappeared, literally in thin air. When would you say the best time to start is? Like, when would you say the best time to start this opportunity? And the magic question. The magic question I know everyone wants to know. How much money can they make?
Yeah, sure. So there's a Chinese proverb that says the best time to get started in real estate was yesterday. The second best time to get started is today. So that's how I feel. I feel like, if you're thinking about getting started, that's the best time to get started because you missed the opportunity yesterday, but you can seize the opportunity today. And then as far as how much is it to get started?
No. How much can they make? Like someone who knows all, or maybe just say they're working like a part-time job and they're getting started and they're actually doing the work. Because I know you got to do the work.
Sure.
But they're doing the work and they say they were able to quit their job maybe in a year or two. Like how much money can they possibly make in a year doing this?
Sure. So with virtual wholesaling real estate, the average deal size that our clients make is anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000. So sure, you have some deals that could be higher than that. You know, we've had deals over $65,000, right? And then there's been deals that have been like $2,000. But as an average, what we see is anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 is your first deal. I have a client that I brought on that was never able to do deals from other programs that she's been in before. And she's about to close her first deal and make $27,000 on her first deal. And she didn't invest any of her own money into that deal. Now, she had to do a lot of calls to get to that deal, right? Following our system and process. So it's not like she pushed a button and money falls from the sky. But she followed this process, was willing to put in the time. She was committed, and she got it done. And so she's going to walk away with $27,000. That's life-changing for people. That's life-changing.
And you're just the middle guy. Like, you're the guy, you're not even owning the property. You don't got to fix up the property. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Like, you don't have to clean toilets and scrub bathtubs and pull.
All you're doing is flipping paper. That's all you're doing. You're taking a contract and selling it to someone else and collecting the money in the middle. That's it.
Interesting. So what is the most common objection you're getting whenever it comes to people buying?
When it comes to people buying,
like to joining your program, to joining, to learn, to get to that next level, because I'm pretty sure it's always out there, and the people always use the word scam. Like, oh no, this is a scam. I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm not going to be able to get to. I can't do this. This ain't for me. And like, if I invest my money, it's just going to take my money.
So here's the thing. I actually don't have that a lot.
Oh,
right.
Nice.
When people, so when people come to me, they follow me because of either content that I put out on social media. And as a coach, that's one of the best things you can do is put out content on social media, Reels, do Facebook Lives, all that, to really get people familiar with your brand and with you and build trust with your audience, right? Because when you do that and they book a call because they've seen that, right, that trust is just going to go up a lot higher. I used to get those types of questions when I didn't have any content out there, right?
Okay.
And now, after I have content out there, people are like, yeah, I saw your video. I got so much value out of it. It's amazing. And I'd love to learn more about getting started. So what I find when it comes to objections with coaching, I find that people either they doubt me, they doubt themselves, or they doubt the process, like if it can work for them. And those are the typical objections that I find. I don't get a lot of the doubt me's unless it's a totally cold person that booked a call and I have no idea who they are. They have no idea who I am. They just followed me and they're really kind of skeptical anyway. They're in like research mode. But I find the number one objection, if you want to know what the number one objection is.
I do. I really do.
It's all about the money.
Dang, okay.
It's all about the money. It's always the money. Even when someone says it's not the money, it's the money, right? So that was one of the most valuable piece of advice I learned from my sales trainer. And he says that it doesn't matter what reason people give you to not move forward, it's always about the money. So if you know that it's always about the money going in, then you can customize your program. You can create solutions for people that are creative that help them get started. Whether that's, instead of paying it all up front, maybe it's breaking it up into monthly payments, whether it's something down, something per month. And then after they do some deals, they pay me off, whatever that case is, right? But it's always, as a coach, creating those solutions for people to get started, because I never want that to be an obstacle for people, unless it's just totally unreasonable. If they're like, hey, I'd like to bring you on as a coach for $100 a month, I'll refer them to somebody else or another great resource or a book or something like that. So we can't do that. But if they have some money set aside and they're serious about investing in their education, they want to get started, I'm all about creating a win-win situation that helps them get started and on their first and next deal.
And you have a free Facebook group where they can join to get started, right? And learn for free.
Absolutely.
And have you seen people get their first deal joining your Facebook group?
Yeah. So actually, funny story. I had a girl the other day basically say that she paid $60,000 to be a part of this coaching program, right? And she wasn't able to get her first deal. But based on one of the live trainings that I did that talked about a very specific list of homeowners to target, right? So you could start calling them, having conversations, and get a deal from it. She was able to take action based on what I shared in the video, and she made $67,000 on her deal.
Damn. No, that's powerful. And that was all from joining your free Facebook group.
Joining my free Facebook group. Now, as a little bit of
yeah,
background there. She had a
yeah,
little bit of real estate
yes,
experience, right, from the previous coaching program she's a
correct.
part of, but she wasn't able to do a deal until she watched my training that had that list and showed her how to go after it. And then from there, she was able to make like 67 grand from her first deal.
Can you share something that might be in that group that people can kind of get some like a preview?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things that we do in that group, right, is the biggest game-changing thing that I can share with people getting started in wholesaling. So a lot of people, a lot of gurus out there will teach wholesaling the wrong way. Okay. They will basically say that if you go out and you find a good deal, it'll sell itself. So don't worry about building a buyer's list in the beginning, right? Just go out and it's all about the deal. Go find the deal. But here's the thing. Most new people first getting started, they don't really know what a good deal is. So how can it sell itself? So what we share in our group is the FYBF method, right? The FYBF method means find your buyer first. So what you want to do is you want to grow a list of cash buyers using the free sources that we show in our training inside the group. Find out what they want, where they're buying, the types of properties they want to buy, what price points are they buying in, right? What locations they like, what locations don't they like, right? And then you simply go out and do marketing to find that. And then you bring it to them and give them what they want. And when you're finding your buyer first, it makes wholesaling so much easier. It takes away the stress and it makes it to where you do more deals.
That sounds very smart. No, that's very, very smart. Y'all, and honestly, everyone watching this needs to join. Like, if you don't know what you're doing in life and you're like, I need something to do, I want to make more money, I want that side hustle, side income, honestly, they should be joining like today. Click join. No hesitations. So, last but not least, I want to dive into like, what do you like to do for fun? Like, you know what I mean? You're hustling, you're grinding. Like, what do you like to do for fun and things like that?
So, one of my most favorite things to do, right, is and I meant to answer this before because you asked me a question like belief in money and all that stuff. What I like to do is I like to invest in experiences.
Okay.
Right. So I love traveling. My wife and I did a lot more of that before we had our first baby. That's been put on pause for a little while, but we already got our trip booked in the next 2 years when he'll be comfortable driving or be comfortable flying. I mean, so that's something fun. But even if it's something as simple as like, going out to a nice restaurant, and having a nice dinner, right? I love investing in experiences and memories that are going to last forever. Right. Outside of that, I love working out in the gym. I love lifting weights. I'm really big in that. If you follow me on Facebook, you may see some of my stories where I'll post like workout videos and stuff like that. And then I love playing basketball. I love playing basketball.
I love basketball.
I got a court out by my house and I love going out and playing. It's fun.
No, basketball is my favorite sport. So I can resonate with you on that.
Love that. Yeah.
My last question is, can you leave us with a quote of the day?
Quote of the day. Quote of the day. Let me think for a second here.
Take your time, no rush. Quote of the day. I feel like this kind of like helps people think and gives them that motivation.
Yeah. You know what? A really good quote by James Dean says, "Dream as if you'll live forever, live as if you'll die tomorrow." So don't, every single day you want to live to the fullest, right? You don't want to ever just get caught in the cycle of going through the motions, right? Where 2, 3, 4 years passes by and you're just like, what happened? Like, you don't want to do that. You want to focus on living each day to the fullest, enjoying every single day, and just understanding every single day that we get to wake up in the morning with air in our lungs, a roof over our head, food on the table is a blessing and a gift. And if you treat every single day that way, it's going to open your mind to abundance, and you're going to want to, it's going to put you in the mindset to be able to achieve the goals you have set for yourself.
Love it. Love it. Guys, it's been a pleasure having Chris Logan on the podcast. Where can people find you? Last but not least, where can people find you?
Sure. So you can follow me on any of the social media sites at Chris Logan REI. That's my handle there. So ChrisLoganREI, like real estate investor. So Chris Logan REI is the best way to connect with me there, and just shoot me a DM. I love connecting with people.
Appreciate it. Appreciate having you on the show.
Yeah, great being on the show, Marcos. Thanks again. I appreciate it, and have a great rest of your week.
You too.